Tonight we all die young. 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 Tonight we all die young.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, my personal channel. This is no longer the Garden of Great Work, but it is my personal channel, and I will be publishing some videos to go over the blog posts that are on my site, thesleeperagent.com, which I said in my previous video has been released. I have about probably 90 copies or so, but it will be released on Amazon on December 13th. That's the official release date. There's no more pushing it back. That's it. But I am going to make some videos going over each blog post I have right here. I cannot believe that it's already December. It's crazy. The older I get, it's like the faster that time flies. But I hope everybody is having a good fall going into the winter. I hope everybody is getting ready for Christmas and the holiday season that most people hate. I love it. I don't know. I mean, I've always been the kind of person that I'm just generally happy. Like, I don't know, like when I'm left to my own device, I am a very happy person. I like the holidays, but most people don't share that enthusiasm. But anyway, I've been doing a lot of BMX biking lately. I was going to the skateboard park, and I was grinding. I'm getting into grinding the rails and stuff like that, and I'm really moving up in the BMX. My progress is really doing good, but I've been getting a lot of good feedback about this book, and showing a lot of people. There is like I said in my previous video, there's a girl out at the coffee shop that was interested, and I see her down there frequently, I guess you could say, because I usually go get a coffee before I start riding my bike, and been telling her, you know, that she like overheard me talking about my book and asked me about it, and I started telling her about it, and then I see her down there when I go in, because she wants to hear more and more and more. So I've been telling her about it, and she finds it very interesting. So, very pretty girl, so I don't mind, you know, stopping to talk. And it is very interesting, actually. I think, no matter who you are, I think it's a very interesting subject. I mean, there's been an aura of mystery around Erich Traub for many years now, and this is the first book that really goes through his life. Like, this is the cover I designed, and he's got, you know, that's Erich Traub right there. Let's see, there's a picture of him, the same picture, but that's him right there. This one says 1906 to 1958, but it meant to say 1985. He died in 85. Obviously, that was a typo. That was the only typo I can find in the book, and it wasn't mine. But anyway, I've been really kind of happy about being able to tell somebody like that. So. But I'm going to be doing videos for each blog post like I used to do at my old site. So we'll get into this one, and it is called The Mysteries of Dr. Erich Traub and His Life as a Bioweaponeer. So he was a bioweaponeer, and he actually worked for several countries. He wore many hats. He worked for he worked for Nazi Germany. He worked for the Soviet Union. He worked for the Americans. He even worked for the British and also the Iranians. But actually, he was an officer of the FAO, which is a Food and Agriculture Organization. It's a UN. It's a UN organization, kind of like the World Health Organization. But he specialized in developing incapacitating biological agents that basically attack the immune system. And he discovered a phenomenon called immune tolerance. And basically what immune tolerance is a burned out immune system. It is suppressed to such an extent that it's forced to tolerate harmful pathogens that it should otherwise be keeping out of the body. And he also specialized in reactivating latent viruses. And he stumbled upon immune tolerance in reactivation of viruses that is actually part of immune tolerance. But he discovered this with lymphocytic choriomeningitis virus, LCM virus, in 1935, and by 1936, he had discovered some of the mechanisms of immune tolerance, and then he basically devoted his entire life to the study of that phenomenon. And that phenomenon is basically what's at the heart of these incapacitating biological agents like Lyme disease. Happens also with like tuberculosis or like you hear the people who have chronic fatigue syndrome. That's a form of immune tolerance. So it's, and also the myalgic encephalomyelitis thing, and it's most of the in fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, a lot of those chronic health problems that are like proliferating today. Immune tolerance is usually at the base of that. And I would say there are different degrees of it, but then there's this point where you just become very, very sick. And you'll have days where you feel like you can't even get out of bed. Or you'll feel like somebody took a baseball bat to your whole body. Or you'll feel this bone-crushing fatigue. But it was Erich Traub who discovered that, and he discovered how those antigens cause it. It's a lipid-like antigen. It is a lipid. It's a lipid. It's very, and it clumps together. That's why you should never inject that stuff into your blood. Like, they're doing it to people, but you should never do that. If you think about how olive oil clumps together, right, in water, the same is true for that in your blood, only it clumps to all your joints, and it clumps to your organs, your cardiovascular system. So it's not a good idea to inject that stuff. When I go over, see, I don't give too much of it away, but I talk about he also discovered that he could raise the cancer rate to 50%. 50% with this immune tolerance phenomenon. These mice would have active viral infections these mice would have active viral infections transmitted from the mother and be infected for life without antibodies or outward signs of disease, but later in life they would develop chronic neurological diseases and cancers, with the cancer rate eventually reaching 50%. And the infected mothers would always give rise to infected progeny. Like, the mother would always give birth to infected mice. And they would all be born immune tolerant. They would look normal, but there was a lot going on in their system. And the virus was taking to the brain and central nervous system, the organs. So later in life, they'd come down with these, fatal neurodegenerative diseases. Or at least they would die a slow death, basically. Diabolical. And he studied this phenomenon because it was always accompanied by a secondary neurotropic effect, meaning destructive to the central nervous system. And these mice would produce no abnormal blood work and did not have antibodies, even though they had an active viral infection and could spread virulent LCM virus. So it kind of flips the entire paradigm on its head about, modern day immunology, where they just rely on antibodies and stuff like that. And they think that if you just have some antibodies, you're immune. But his science flips that basically on its head and says, no, this is wrong. Sometimes these mice would show limited antibodies, but they would soon disappear. And he also made a specialty of turning animal diseases into human pathogens. So it was like the animal kingdom was a vast reservoir of new diseases that he could adapt to humans. I believe he did this by using chicken egg passages and different kinds of passages in mice or chickens or guinea pigs. And long before the days of genetic engineering, or so-called start of genetic engineering, the recombinant DNA technologies that they use, that were, I think they came into existence in the mid-70s, but he was doing, the way he would genetically engineer things and cause things to mutate in a desired way is he would use what is called animal passages, which you run the disease through an animal and let the disease play out. And then after the animal died or whatever, he takes the brain suspensions, he runs it through another animal, lets the disease play out, re-isolates it, and, keeps doing this on and on and on. And they would find it mutates a certain way in certain animals, and sometimes they would have to run it through many animals to do it, but they would this became a fine art for Erich Traub. So you think, animal disease, that just applies to animals, like Plum Island and how they say they just do animal diseases, and people are just, they just work with foot and mouth disease and stuff like that. Well, these animal diseases were they could all be adapted to humans and work. That's basically what I'm showing in my book, too. And so there'll be these new diseases from the animal kingdoms that no doctor has seen in a human, and it confuses them because they're not sure what something is, and all these new diseases that they've never seen before. And he weaponized that was his life. He was a bioweaponeer. He made a living weaponizing pathogens as weapons of war. So, and what happened was, in the 1960s, they basically kind of covered up or buried that immune tolerance phenomenon as it relates to infectious disease. They gave the Nobel Prize to these two other guys that didn't even work together and were not nominated together by anybody. The Nobel Prize for immune tolerance, but it was only about organ transplant recipients, because the same condition happens in organ transplant recipients. But it's far more relevant to infectious disease. But if they had made a big thing of it and they acknowledged that science, that would have conflicted with their entire theory of immunology and, of course, vaccines, and it would have been a real thorn in their side. That's an understatement, but that's basically, it's all this stuff is what I cover in this book, and obviously the Lyme disease connection, and I covered that in another article. But of course I don't give too much away. Like I said, I want people to buy the book, or at least read it. Because a lot of people will go try and, a lot of people will go find a free copy online somewhere. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that at all. Like, I've done that myself, but I would appreciate if people bought it. I mean, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and I think it's definitely worth its weight in price for what's in here. Absolutely. But you can kind of read the article. I give, like, it's not very long. Now I'll leave a link in the description, and we will leave it here. So, everybody, thank you very much for watching. As I say, be yourself, build yourself, and I will see you on the other side.
Lost the meaning of a stay. Learn to live another day. Doubt the choices that we've made. I know that we can't hide our shame. It's only in disguise. Touch your face, you know I'll never leave this place, if only